So dating is absolutely You felt it, I felt it, you've seen the complaints. You likely have your own complaints about the dating market right now. So I wanted to make a video to tell you exactly why you should learn game. Because when you tell people they should learn game, there's a lot of pushback, right? Some people say, well, it's not necessary. You'll have guys who are naturally good with women who may make the point that like it's strange or weird to learn. You shouldn't have to do all that. You have guys who say like you shouldn't have to put all that work in. It's not worth it. I'm here to tell you that they are all wrong. So in this video, we're going to go over the 5 reasons why you should learn game. And the first reason is game is no longer a nice to have. It is a need to have. Because in order to set the frame and to understand exactly what I'm talking about, you got to understand where we are in the world right now, right? Everything is more competitive now. Not just with dating and relationships, not just with women. Everything is more competitive. If you think economically about this, right? If you're trying to get a job, okay, it's very hard to get a job. If you've been in the job market and you're searching for a job right now, you know how hard it is to even land an interview. There are people who are super qualified who may go 6 to 18 months unemployed because they can't get a job, because we are now in a global marketplace. Everything is competitive. And that has naturally translated to the dating market. It used to be, right? Let's dive in history for a second. It used to be women weren't as empowered as they are today, right? So they optimized around finding a guy who was a protector and a provider, right? Protector and provider. They isolated that variable and then saw any guys that checked those boxes and they went for those guys. They got into relationships and marriages out of need. They may find a guy who maybe wasn't that attractive, maybe wasn't that desirable, right? And they would just make peace with the fact that's who they were going to be with. Did he really stir up her emotions and really crank up her desire? No, but she could have a good life with him. So she decided to be with him. Those days are over. They're done. They're not coming back. The cat's out the bag. Women now, a lot of them are out earning men, are doing very well for themselves. So they no longer have to prioritize the protector and provider archetype. Now women are going after the guys they actually want, right? They're not going after guys they need. They're going after guys they want. And there's nothing inherently wrong about that, right? A lot of guys get mad about that, but they lack empathy. Because if you were a woman, you would likely do the exact same thing. You would go after what you want. As a guy, you're probably going after who you want. Women are going to do the same thing. So becoming the guy that women want isn't natural. It's natural for some guys, but for the vast majority of guys, it's not a natural thing. Therefore, if you want a shot, you're going to have to learn game. Okay? You're going to have to learn game. You're going to have to learn the traits and embody the characteristics of a guy that women would actually choose from their own volition. Reason number 2, game is a very counterintuitive skill. And this is what you have to understand. If you just go off of what you were taught, right? If you just go off what you're taught, because the world, media, society is going to teach you one thing. And then when you go out into the field, you're going to quickly learn that shit doesn't apply, nor is it effective. Okay, so if you don't learn game, you're going to default to what you've seen. And what you've seen are poor relationships. What you've seen is your parents not getting along. What you've seen is going outside of a woman that you're interested in's bedroom with a boombox, professing your love is what actually gets women into you. You're going to default to that shit. You're going to default to buying roses and being extremely chivalrous and all this other nonsense. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with any of that, by the way. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't have its place. What I'm saying is a lot of men default to that because those are examples of romance that they've seen. They don't understand the context of which it works. So you're going to consistently shoot yourself in the foot. I see it all the time, man. I see so many guys on like social media, TikTok, what have you, talking about dates they've gone on, talking about women that they've dealt with. I just saw a video of a guy claiming that he went to Chipotle and he called up a girl that he was dating. And he wanted to just do something nice for her. He wanted to be like, yo, I'm at Chipotle. Do you want anything from Chipotle? And she told this man, I don't like Chipotle, but if you want to do something nice for me, I'm going out with my friends tonight. You can send me $200 because we're going to brunch or some shit like that, right? He proceeded to argue with her. Be like, why don't you like Chipotle? What you going to eat at brunch? Well, they got steak there. You're going to eat steak at the brunch? Well, they have steak here at Chipotle. He's not understanding the subcommunication. The subcommunication being, she don't really like you for real, bro. She's not into you. This woman clearly knew that asking you for money was going to risk the relationship, and she was perfectly fine with that risk because she don't value you like that. You simply serve the function of just giving her attention and giving her money, doing nice things for her. But that's what you're going to default to if you don't understand game, because game is very counterintuitive. It's not something you're going to naturally understand, right? A lot of the stuff that you'll learn when you learn game is stuff that you think wouldn't work. It's stuff that you think is probably going to be off-putting or is going to push someone away from you, when in reality, it brings them closer. So this isn't something you're just going to figure out yourself. Trust me, you're not just going to come up with hypotheses in your bedroom and just figure out how to do better with women. No, many men have gone before you. They've already figured out the model. I'm explaining the model in these videos. So it is in your best interest to learn game or suffer the consequences. Number 3 is going to save you from a bunch of heartbreak. Like I used in the previous example of the guy who was trying to give a woman like some food from Chipotle. He was wasting his time with her. Just think about how much he probably invested in that situation. How many dates they probably going on. How much time he spent talking to her, right? Spending hours on the phone, only to ultimately be let down that this woman was not really into him. Now he probably has to take time to heal because maybe he fell for her. Maybe he got a lot of invested into that situation because he couldn't read the writing on the wall. A lot of guys go through unnecessary heartbreak. They go through unnecessary pain. They end up losing their time, energy, and resources and wasting it on a dead lead. When you understand game, you increase your social vision. You increase your discernment. You'll be able to understand very quickly if a woman is really for you or she's not for you, okay? I tell guys all the time, man, a woman who I've gone on like a second date with, and I've gone on many second and third dates, right? All good women. All good women, right? Not for me, not for like a relationship, maybe we weren't compatible, but all pretty quality women. Why? I know how to read the writing on the wall. I can tell if somebody is quality or if they're not quality. Or I can also tell if someone's really into me or if I'm just serving the function of giving them attention. I can quickly see that. If I'm on a dating app contest, I can just tell how they're messaging back if this is going to be a waste of time or if this actually has potential. These are the types of skill sets you're going to be able to develop when you learn game. You're going to learn when to cut and when to invest. Do you understand? You're going to save your time. You're going to save your resources. Dude, there's so many guys who like their first date, they're trying to take a chick to like the steakhouse or something like that. You know what my first date is? 9 times out of 10, drinks or coffee or a museum. Very low on resources. And it's not even about spending the money. It's about understanding how the game works, right? Because if I choose a date like that initially, it's going to naturally only select for women who actually want to get to know me. I'm naturally pushing away women who have expectations that are not in alignment with mine. So in this way, you learn to vet more aggressively and only bring people into your life who are going to be on your program. Again, game is a need to have, not a nice to have. You have to learn this shit. Will it be difficult? Sure. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but your whole life is going to improve in the process. Which brings me to my next point. When you learn game, you learn how to channel your masculine energy in a productive way. A lot of guys do not know how to channel their masculine energy, right? What they tend to do, and you're going to go down 2 paths if you don't learn game, right? There's 2 paths you're going to go down. You're either going to decrease your masculine energy because you're going to default to what the world tells you to do. So you're just going to become flaccid, right? You're going to have a limp dick approach to the world. right? You're going to become softer over time. You're going to become more of a nice guy over time, right? And you're just going to become someone whose energy doesn't deeply penetrate a dynamic. And this is going to cause you to get less and less results, especially as you age. As you age, it's going to become, your results are going to tank, and it's going to become way more of an uphill battle, right? But when you learn game, you learn how to channel your masculine energy in a particular direction, right? When you start getting more success with women, that's going to empower you to have more success in other domains. You're going to understand, this actually applies across many different areas. Me flirting with women is very similar to me talking to men who I want to meet and befriend or even network with. This also is relevant in like a corporate environment or a job environment. Me taking risk in this way may make me want to start a business because I see how risks sometimes pay off. So let me take risk in this other domain. And now you done started a successful business, right? This shit's not about women, bro. That's how you get into it, typically. It's like how you go to the gym, you want, you want women, so you go try to get in better shape. So you're lifting weights and improving your body for women. Then you realize like, I like being stronger. Me getting stronger has caused me to get more confident. Me getting stronger has caused me to have more like of a grounded presence and a more magnetic energy when I go out, right? So while women were the entry point, what keeps you in the game is you seeing just how doing this activity improves every area of your life. Game is the same way. When you understand social calibration, when you understand to hold frame, when you understand push-pull, when you understand how to create spark and safety, you're going to understand that applies to all of life. So getting good in this domain applies to all of life. Very rare do you see that same thing play out with other situations, right? There are guys who have started with making money and they realize that making money doesn't really influence other areas of their life. There are plenty of dudes who are successful who struggle greatly with women, right? But if you start with women, when you start to understand women better, when you do really the scariest thing a man could do, which is like face rejection from the opposite sex, you'll understand, me getting rejected didn't ruin my life. Me fumbling this chick wasn't the end of me, right? I can withstand more than I thought, which is going to cause you to take more calculated risks, which is going to cause you to approach life with more boldness and more conviction. And this is going to drastically improve your life. That's why I always push back on guys when they say like it's not worth it, right? Because they're thinking too one-dimensionally about this shit. They're thinking about game as like you just get women, but then they have a perspective of women like, well, women aren't really worth it, right? They are. They're absolutely worth it. Just if you don't have any positive experiences with women, of course you're going to assume they're not worth it. Women aren't really worth it. So why would I do all this work? Because the second and third order effect of learning game is that your life is going to be better. Your social life is going to be better. You're going to make more money. You're going to make more cool connections. You're going to live a life that resembles a movie, man. You have to learn this shit. Trust me, as someone who was on one side and now I'm on the other, I can tell you it is a drastic difference. And number 5, and the most important reason, is you're going to get to know yourself better, right? Dealing with women is going to force you to look into the mirror. It's going to force you to see yourself. It's going to force you to see where you're showing up in a weak way, right? Where are you not leaning into your edge? And dealing with them is going to force you to be better, because in order to experience success with women, you have to become better. You're going to have to become non-needy. You're going to have to exist in your frame. You're going to have conviction. You're going to have to be bold. And learning these traits, like I said before, improves all the areas of your life. But what a lot of dudes are doing is they're hiding from themselves. There's so many men who can't even be honest enough with themselves to admit that they would like a girlfriend. I make videos on TikTok all the time. And there's tons of incels comment on the videos, like bashing women, saying how women aren't worth it. But you know what? These same guys are engaging with dating and relationship content. Their For You page is sending them dating and relationship content. Why is that? Because they're engaging with it. They're giving it their attention. They're giving it their focus. On some level, they deeply crave love and connection. But they can't consciously admit that to themselves because they'll feel like failures. So instead, they cope. They cope by saying it's not important. They cope by saying that, I don't really want this. I'm cool by myself. Yet they're going home watching porn every chance they get. You know what I mean? There is nothing wrong with wanting women. And you have to ultimately understand that you not having success with women is not because you're a loser, although you may be. And if you are a loser, it's because you're choosing to be a loser, right? This is not a default setting. That is your choice. You're choosing the path of a loser, and you can just as easily choose the path of a winner. You understand? So a lot of these guys, they just can't be honest with themselves. They can't just admit that this is something that they want. Because if they admit this is something that they want, they have to then do something about it. And people don't want to do anything about it. Because there's a fairy tale that exists in the mind of men. And that is that they should be able to easily receive unconditional love by just being who they are. Right? It's a fairy tale. It's Disney propaganda. That's not how the world works. And it doesn't work that way in any other domain. Like if I told you to get a job, you wouldn't assume that you could just get a job by being yourself. Well, I don't have to work on my resume. I don't have to work on my interview skills. They should want me how I am. You will be unemployed. You would never get a job. I don't understand. Like when it comes to relationships, this is the only time where people think this way. They don't think this way with anything else. It's only relationships because they've been sold a bill of goods. They've been told that they should just be themselves and the woman will come. And that's a partial truth. You should be yourself. But I would argue that who you really are is underneath all that bullshit. Learning game is about breathing life and revealing your best self. It's not about learning tactics. It is not being manipulative. It is taking and removing all of that gunk off of yourself and revealing the diamond that's inside. It's the diamond in the rough. You have to reveal that diamond by removing all of the garbage and dirt that is covering it up. That's essentially what game teaches you. It helps you to bring forth that man that is dormant inside of you that you never learn how to express. Game teaches you how to express him. And then when you start expressing him, when you start breathing life into that person and becoming that person, you're going to notice how every aspect of your life improves. So hopefully this video has convinced you. It's getting kind of long. We're at like 20 something minutes. But yes, gentlemen, learn game. You don't have to learn from me. I don't give a fuck if you learn from me, right? There's another guy you resonate with, learn from him. But the end result is the same. You have to learn how women are, how attraction works, and what women respond to. And more importantly, you have to learn yourself.